verse 5. So this background, this infinite ocean, however you have started seeing it now, this infinite space is that in which arisings arise, they play, and then they dissolve. This one single substratum of consciousness is always the same. In this substratum, in this background only, you notice the witness arising and falling. Many people start thinking, oh, then there are many witnesses. No, it's the same background. Yeah. So for example, I'll show you. All these pictures arise, you watch the movie, yeah, you forget that all these images are playing on a background. Yeah, when it's intermission or the movie ends, then you realize, oh, it's a background. Suddenly you had become the on-stage person experiencing the movie. You suddenly go off stage and come back to reality. Yes, the same thing happens with this background, the witness. The witness goes on stage and becomes one with the object it is witnessing. Yeah, moment to moment it does that. But it is the same substratum that is doing that. There is only one screen behind. Yeah, the arisings keep changing. The substratum of these multiple arisings is always one. It always remains the same. Yeah. So that's what he means by the substratum of all is one and the same. Diversity is only of things perceived. Yeah. Touch, taste, smell, sight, sound. These are the things that I perceive. Yeah. So there is diversity in all of them. Yeah. But is there a diversity in that screen on which it is all playing? No. It is one and the same. This is very simple to understand. Yeah. The background is always one and the same. Just like waves. Every wave arises, it is different. There's a baby wave, there is a ripple, there is a foam, there's a tsunami wave, and there is a rogue wave. There's so many different kinds of waves of different intensity. But all of them have only one substratum. What is that? H2O. Can you say, oh, the H2O in the ripple is different from the H2O in the tsunami wave? No. It's the same substratum. The H2O remains the same. The H2O is not diverse. Yeah, so Kabir had said no. When we did the Kabir poem, Leher kahe to kya neer khoyam? Just by calling it a wave, does it lose its identity or reality of being water? Yeah. So just like that, diversity is only of thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions. But the background on which it all arises and plays, that is always one. Even though we say that the witness arises and falls along with the arising, the witness, the background is always the same, irrespective of whether I play a National Geographic documentary here, or I play a music video here, or I play a very dramatic movie here. The background remains the same. Yeah, just like that. The background always remains the same. Whatever feelings you are experiencing, whatever thoughts you are experiencing, whatever perceptions are coming and going. Yeah, there's a multitude of them. When you do satipatthana, you realize, oh, there are a zillion sensations in this body which I was not aware of before. Yeah. So you recognize, oh, these sensations have diversity, a variety in them, but the substratum does not. Now we come to the most important verse number 6. In this infinite background, there is no diversity. You understand diversity, right? Diversity is variety. There is no variety. Yeah, when you recognize that sense of amness, there was nothing there. You could not find any variety. It's one single space of no thingness. That substratum remains unperceived, therefore there is no diversity in it. Do you get it? So I cannot see this, I cannot smell it, I cannot taste it, I cannot touch it. Yeah, I cannot in any way perceive it. Yeah, so the substratum remains unperceived. Therefore, there is no diversity in it. So first of all, this should take away all your wrong beliefs. If you had one that you're going to see a blue color light and a yellow color light, which is the soul, or you're going to see some holy god come out with white clothes and a long beard, long flowing hair, and granting wishes with a halo on the head. All this is not going to happen, okay? Please do not expect such things. Yeah? It is unperceived. You cannot see it, you cannot smell it. Yeah? So form is out of question. Yeah? I hope this is very, very clear. Advaita works on really breaking down your conditioning very hard. Yeah? So there is no God that is going to be noticed or seen or recognized. The only thing, the best you get is something like this, a boring screen. Yeah, now do what you want with it. So it has no diversity in it and it remains unperceived. So little more on diversity we will talk today. Somebody asked this question to Atmananda, that then why is there so much diversity in this world? Why confuse us? Why couldn't the background remain like that? So peaceful, so good. Yeah, I understand there is some juice in this world, but then finally it all just fades away after a while. And why is there diversity? Now, Atmananda proves it to this guy that there is no diversity in the world also. Yeah, so we'll see how he does this. Try to get a little glimpse of this. In my words, okay? Not in Atmananda's words, and however I can explain it. If you ask a fish in the ocean, how is the water? The fish will say, what water? Yes, it's unperceivable. The fish has no idea. Yeah? The same problem is with you. When we talk about the consciousness, you say, what consciousness? I can't see consciousness. I only see objects. Yeah. So Atmananda says, start recognizing the truth. Yeah. What is diversity? Diversity in your definition is variety. Yeah. So write down self-inquiry questions. Your experience field consists of perception, sensation, thought and feeling. Correct? Is there anything outside these four in your experience field? Can you tell me a fifth one? Does a fifth one exist? Yeah, so there are just these four that we know. That is a part of our experience field. So let's deal with these four. Can you experience two thoughts simultaneously? Can you? Think right now. You have to think of two thoughts at the same time. Can you do it? No, you cannot do it. Yeah. So at a time, there is possibility of just one thought. Yeah. Okay. Let's try with sensations. Can you experience two sensations simultaneously? Many sensations happening in the body. Take a moment. Do you experience two sensations simultaneously? No, no. Yeah. So we experience just one sensation at a time. Let's look at feelings. Right now you must be feeling all interested and all in this Advaita session. Look at that excitement, that joy inside. Can you try to feel two feelings at the same time and see, is it possible? At a time there is just one feeling. Okay, perceptions. Come on, this should be very easy. Can you perceive two things at the same time? Okay, in front of you there is the computer in your book. Aren't you perceiving it at the same time? So two perceptions of sight at the same time, right? Is it right? No. At a time there is just one perception. Yeah. To prove this, you have to do an experiment on yourself. For example, if you're going through a moment, let's take a moment, 4th of July, fireworks. You are at the fireworks, you're sipping your favorite cola and watching those beautiful fireworks and thinking about the previous fireworks display that you saw 1 year ago or 2 years ago and comparing that display to this display. Yeah. And then you have different feelings arising. Suddenly you remember what your spouse said this morning, what your boss said. Again, you come back to the fireworks. So at the end of your 30-minute display, you think, oh, there were a zillion thoughts and a zillion sensations, zillion perceptions of fireworks, everything happening at the same time. Is that correct? Were there all these multiple arisings all at the same time? At the end, thought number 100 said thought 1 to 99 all happened together. Yes? So experiment with this. We've spoken about this before, but keep experimenting. Yeah. Do I notice this, that thought number 100 puts 1 to 99 together and creates a story saying they all happened together? Yeah. You will reach this recognition that at a time there is just one perception of sight. At a time there's one perception of sound, one perception of taste. For this you'll have to really examine very closely. So Atmananda says, when you cannot experience two things at the same time, is there duality in your experience field? Does duality exist? No. Dvaitam does not exist for you. Only Advaitam exists. Advaitam is your true experience. When Advaitam is your true experience, when there is no Dvaitam, when there is no duality, where is the question of diversity? There is no diversity. Hence proved. There is no diversity in this waking dream world. Yeah? Just a story woven by your mind. Yeah? Thought number 100, put 1 to 99 together. Contemplate on this. Experiment on your own. Is there any two things that I can see in the same moment? Prove it to yourself that my experience field itself is Advaitam, is non-duality. Prove it to yourself. That's the only way to really become very clear. Yeah? And then once you are clear, nobody can take it away from you. Then you know it. Yeah, I always say there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. Yeah, a lot of people know this knowledge, yeah, but are unable to walk. And they will talk big things, big things. The moment it comes to their bank balance, see how they start getting a heart attack. Where is your Advaita knowledge gone now? Isn't money also dream? No, money, yeah, I have to really, there, everything starts crumbling down. Yeah? Don't be that kind of an Advaitan, please. Be the kind of an Advaitan who really does self-exploration, recognizes this knowledge, works on himself and herself, yeah, and becomes very clear. You get to one side or the other. Yeah. So there is no diversity, Atmananda says. So here I'll give you a homework for those people who felt that they have started seeing everything as isness and objects. Yeah. There are 3 stands in that also. When I take the stand as the body, what will I see? I will see a physical table in front of me. A hard, solid, physical object in front of me. When I take the stand as the mind, I start seeing the isness, but in that isness, I start seeing the image of the table. So I see isness plus image of the table. And the third stand as awareness. One who has progressed to that level sees consciousness happening in consciousness. Means that background is not just a background, it's an infinite ocean of consciousness. Yes, and this is just another form of consciousness, another function. Yeah? Like ice is another form of the same water vapor. It's not different. So table is the form of the same consciousness. It's not different. So it is consciousness playing in consciousness. That's the third stand. Yeah? You start recognizing, where are you? How is this related to diversity? If you're still stuck in that diversity of things and people, You will see them as solid objects. You'll see the human as a solid human. It's not the question of seeing with these eyes. It's a question of recognizing from within. Yeah. You will be stuck in diversity if you're still taking the stand as the body. If you keep taking the stand as the awareness, as the consciousness, everything is just the consciousness. Nothing is outside my awareness. Nothing is outside my consciousness. Yeah, so now we come to the understanding that there is no diversity. There is no duality. Duality has been assumed. It's a shocking realization. Go back to the time when you were a little baby. As a baby, did you separate out perception, sensation, thought, and feeling? No. Did you separate out objects? Did you label objects? No. Yeah. If you remember the World Science Forum video that I shared with you, the scientists had a term for it. They said we were all born synesthetic. Yeah, which means everything is one. All forms are not seen as separate. It's seen like a single screen. And not just sight, even sound, even smell, even taste, even touch. Everything is experienced as one single sense. Yeah. So that's how we were all as babies. We have all experienced that. We all know that. At that state, we were in this state that Atmananda calls of pure non-duality. There was no two, there was no diversity. Then this baby starts getting conditioned. Conditioning produces Dvaitam in our minds. Baby was seeing everything as a single screen, but now he's this dream character, and now all labels are taught to him. A for apple, B for bat. So now the labels come up for everything. Yeah. This creates the so-called diversity of perception. Yeah. That which was an indivisible whole. It was a whole just before this conditioning began. Now it became parts. Because he was taught these labels, everything became parts. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. A whole is now divided into parts. WHOLE. The whole is now divided into parts. But these are apparently divided. Yeah. There is no real division. And then slowly he grows up, and then there is perception of form, then sound is separate, taste is separate, touch is separate, smell is separate, and that creates this diversity. Are you seeing this very clearly? Yeah. In my original state, there is no diversity. In my original state, there is pure non-duality. Now, at this stage, the baby still has no clue about time. Forget baby, even a very young kid, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, they still have no clue about time. You have no clue about space. You have no clue about causality. Yes? You don't look at, Mama, I did this, that is why this happened to me. No, you have no idea of cause and effect. How does that come in? Let's look at first space. He's taught to distinguish between perceptions. This is an apple, this is a bat, this is a cat. He's given all these labels. So he's shown two perceptions, computer and table. To separate the two perceptions, imaginary space element is created. The gap between two perceptions is space. Yeah. This is again nothing but conditioning. Now that we recognize at this stage that, oh, in that background, in that infinite ocean, there is no space. There is nothing like space there. Yeah. Now we can understand this very clearly. Yeah. Let's experiment. On your table, you might have three things. You will have a computer, and you'll have a book, a pen. Yeah. So I see that thing, I see this thing, and then I see that thing. Finish looking at all three. Now you know all three. Yes. Now what do you feel? All three are happening at the same time. They are in the same capture of vision. But when they were arising, they arise only one at a time. The fourth thought said, okay, I see three things. The first thought said, I see that thing. The second perception, I see that thing. And the third perception, I see that thing. And then I see all three together. We create this illusion of three separate things in space because of our conditioning. Does a baby see it that way? He sees it as a single screen, a whole, undivided. It is undivided in three parts. Yeah. The same thing happens with time. Exactly the same thing. The baby does not see thoughts as separate thoughts. Yeah. He might just see it as one long, endless thought. Do you know what is a thought? Yeah. Conditioning creates the duality of thought. Let's experiment that also. We have understood about eternal now. Yeah. We have no clue about the past or the future. We've discussed this before. So there's just this eternal now. Conditioning creates this time element by apparently dividing this eternal now. So let's see how it does it. Yeah. Let's close our eyes. You can write later. Close your eyes. This first sentence is heard in the eternal now. This second sentence is heard in the eternal now. Can you step into the past and find the first sentence? Can you find the past at all in your direct experience? Where is the current sentence heard? Isn't every sentence heard in the eternal now? Yes? Okay, now you can open your eyes. So you remember the eternal now? Yes? Now, what does conditioning do? It creates an imaginary gap between the first sentence and the next sentence. It labels them as the first sentence and the next sentence and creates a gap called time. The gap between two events is equal to time. Imaginary conditioning it is. In the eternal now, I never experience two events simultaneously. It's not possible only. So then there is no question of first and next. How can time exist then? There is no duality, no? So there is no first sentence and next sentence. So if I cannot experience both together, then how can I draw the line between them and call this time? Doesn't exist. Duality doesn't exist. Diversity doesn't exist. Time doesn't exist. Just a concept. Just conditioning. So you take this down as homework for yourself. Can I experience two events simultaneously? Can I prove that time exists? And next homework, can I experience two spaces simultaneously? Maybe here and there. Can you experience both here and there together? Can I prove it that space exists? So clear? No duality, no diversity, no time, no space. Homework for you. You explain to me next week how there is no causality, no cause and effect. Today we've run out of time for me to explain it to you. So you explain it to me next week. Let's see who can explain how there is no cause and effect. This should be easy now that we've discussed no time, no space, no duality, no diversity. This should be easy. Yeah? Can I move on to the next verse? I think the last verse. So this background, this infinite ocean, this is that gives you joy or that gives you love, that gives you happiness. You mistakenly attribute happiness to an external object. You actually get it from this background. You know, this background is like the blue sky hidden by grey clouds. All the clouds are grey, 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 and suddenly you see a little patch of blue in the middle, and you think, look at that little blue cloud. No, that's not a blue cloud. That is the background. But you see little, small little holes which are blue in color, small little patches of blue. You attribute that joy or that happiness or the love to that cloud that gave it to you. You attribute it to people, situations, and things. But the real joy comes from the blue sky beyond, the consciousness beyond. Yeah? It is pure. That is beauty, Sundaram. Yeah? That is what gives beauty to all these objects. These objects are not made of anything other than my consciousness. No? These objects are not made of anything different from my awareness. Then how can they get beauty of their own? That beauty is also imparted by my consciousness, my awareness. Yeah. When we don't have a direct experience of this, we are stuck. We are stuck in Dvaitam. Yeah. When you realize that, oh, there is no Dvaitam, that also was only my dream, my illusion. There is only Advaitam in my pure experience field. I can never have an experience of Dvaitam. Then you recognize, only then you recognize that my experience field is the same as the background. The background is not different from consciousness. The experience field is not different from consciousness. It is all consciousness. Consciousness arises in consciousness. Consciousness plays in consciousness. And consciousness disappears in consciousness. That is its beauty. That is its purity. Yeah? And that is very peaceful. Peace is not happiness. Huh? You're expecting all happiness and joy. It's not the graph going up. Neither is it the graph going down. It's an equanimity. Yeah. So if it is all clear now that time, space, causality, and nothing but labels that I have put, and the labels are what creates diversity. Perception, sensations, feelings, thoughts are labels that I've put, and these labels create diversity. Oh, then diversity is really not true. It is just a label. The consciousness is what is the truth. It is unperceived, it is devoid of duality, and my experience proves it, moment to moment experience proves it, that there is no duality. There is only Advaitam. Dvaitam is only a concept. Yeah, so think about this entire week, contemplate. Does my current experience prove it to me that it is just non-dual? Can I experience two thoughts, two perceptions, two sensations, two feelings simultaneously? Yeah, there wouldn't be an eighth factor. There are only 7 factors under diversity. Perception, sensations, thought, feeling, time, space, and causality. Dvaitam is a concept. If you ask Ekta about Dvaitam, Ekta will say, what Dvaitam?